Bulls Nation, you find yourselves locked on Bulls. I'm Matt. That's Big Dave. Up ahead on this episode, breaking down the Bulls' 112-99 loss to the Heat in Miami. The Heat secure the tiebreaker against the Bulls, but after tonight's effort, is that really this team's chief concern? We're breaking down a poor effort from our Bulls next on a fresh Locked On Bulls. Let's go.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily podcast on the Chicago Bulls, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Here are your hosts, Matt Peck and Big Dave Watson.
What's up, and welcome in to Locked On Bulls, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm Matt Peck. You can follow me on Twitter at Bulls_Peck. You can follow my co-host, Big Dave Watson, at BOW, BAWL Sports. You can follow us at Locked On Bulls. Hit us up on that text to voicemail line, 331-979-1369. The Bulls fall to the Heat 112-99. The Bulls now 0-3 against the Heat this season. And to me, this game was decided in the first 8 minutes, Dave. I know the Bulls managed to claw their way back in that second quarter a little bit, got it down, to single digits at halftime, even cut the lead to 6, I believe, late in the second quarter. But when you go into Miami, into the house of the number one seed in the East, who you are now chasing because you've relinquished that number one seed, and you do not expect the level of intensity that they will bring that you know you need to match, that is the part about tonight's effort from the Bulls that is inexcusable to me. We can get into some of the X's and O's of what went wrong, but you have sloppy, unforced turnovers right out of the gate. You have 8 first-quarter turnovers, and you're too lazy to get back in transition on defense. You're too lazy to help on defense. You're not getting your switches right. People aren't fighting their way over screens. The Bulls were completely disengaged for the first 8 minutes of this game, and it cost them.
Cost them big time, Matt. They were out everything. That's the best I can tell you. Outplayed, outcoached, out executed,
outgunned, outmanned, outnumbered, outplanned.
I mean, man, dude, even the mascot was having an awesome day today. You know what I'm saying? Even the concession stand workers probably had their best day of concession stand working ever. Everything was on point for the Miami Heat today, man. Or tonight, I should say. I mean, they were out everything, man. I can't argue with anything you're saying here as far as the effort. Like, they just came out so flat. And again, because I talked about this on the show we did Monday, Matt, that you come out against these teams, these really, really excellent teams, and you start so slow. And you think you can pick that back up. You're not doing that. You said against these teams like this. Miami, you saw how they were playing. They play like that every game, but you know they played with that chip tonight because they're like, oh, the Bulls, you close to us? Y'all think y'all on our level? I bet. We here to play. Let's go ahead and let's do our thing tonight. Let's show you what we got. And I mean, from the jump street, you saw they were more physical than them. The ball was crisp when they passed it. I mean, and Kendall Gills was talking about, the pre-rotations that they were doing on defense. Jimmy Butler basically playing free safety out there. And it just looked like they were not a good basketball team, playing against the Heat. It was crazy. And I know the Heat are good. Listen, I get that. The Heat are really, 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 really good. But the Bulls are a really, 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 really good basketball team. But the Heat made them look like a JV team tonight, man. And it's been like that, honestly, all 3 games. They have made them look like that, man.
Yeah, it doesn't help that I think the Bulls started like 1 of 12 from behind the three-point line or something awful like that. Usually the Bulls shoot better. They are percentage-wise one of the most efficient three-point shooting teams in the NBA. So you're going to have nights where you shoot poorly. But I also thought that part of the reason that the Bulls were not getting their shots to fall is that they weren't getting super clean looks. None of their shots came in rhythm tonight, Dave, because they weren't moving the ball well. And the first few possessions, you could tell that they were trying to establish Vooch, maybe get Bam in foul trouble or something like that. But Oh my God. That's the other thing. We've talked about Caruso and Lonzo's absence and how it's been so missed
Yeah.
on the defensive end. And certainly it was again tonight. But the other thing that both of those guys do so well is not only make smart reads and move the ball well and get good looks because of their smart basketball ball movement, but just simple entry passes. If you're trying to establish Vooch in the post, give him some clean entry passes. It doesn't seem like anybody could do that right now. And Lonzo and Caruso are two of the best people on this Bulls roster when it comes to making clean entry passes.
Yeah, this is something they struggled with for so long, man. We used to scream about, trying to get them the basketball in the post, especially at Troy Brown Jr. when he would have it like, dude, give him the ball into the post. Like, what are you
Did
doing?
he have
Give
another
him the
zero
ball.
stat line tonight? Oh, no, he did make a shot. 2
He did
points.
make a shot. Yes.
2 points in 13 minutes. Way to go, Troy.
Avoided the Tony Snell this time. But man, dude, like Vooch, you saw him, like you said early on, because the Heat were just switching all the time. That's what they do. That's their defense.
They
You know what I'm saying?
like
They switch
crazy.
everything. You know what I'm saying? But when they were switching and getting Jimmy on Vooch, or when they were switching and getting Tyler Hero on Vooch, or even when they were getting PJ Tucker on Vooch, Vooch was trying to seal those guys. He was like, boom, I'm gonna seal them. I'm huge. Throw the ball up here and let me do what I do. And credit to the Heat, though, because they knew that's what they were doing. So they began to swarm guys like Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan when that would occur, because they know they aren't great passers as far as getting that entry pass. I should say they aren't great entry passers in that way, as far as finding him in the post. Man, you're right. It was just another game where you kind of just was like, man, I really miss Zoe. Like, man, I really miss Caruso. And not saying that I thought they were going to win, even if those guys were in the game, but I know the points and the way that team would have been a little more sharper, with those guys on the floor, knowing where the ball needs to be and getting it to those guys. You know what I'm saying? Not dribbling into the double team. You know what I'm saying? Not turning the ball over. We saw Zach getting back to those old ways, Matt, of just turning the ball over. You know what I mean? Not handling the basketball and it just falling off his hands and things like that. We saw in the Heat, what they always do a great job of is taking away what you do best. They do that all the time. DeMar DeRozan, completely.
Right.
As soon as he even touched the ball,
hounded.
Yeah. I mean, as soon as he touched it, there were 3 people around him. You know what I mean? Like, they were completely doing that all game long, man. They really did make the Bulls look like, oh man, we need to go back to the drawing board and rethink some things.
And I think some of the reason that the Bulls were so flustered out of the gate and their offensive execution fell apart was because of that swarming that you're talking about with Miami's defense. They're so active, they switch everywhere, but they also, they gang up on guys, they trap guys if guys don't make a quick decision when they get the ball. That's why the ball movement suffered. And the other element to it is something that we've talked about a little bit with this Bulls team being wildly talented but soft as hell. Man, they let people push them around, and this is Eric Spoelstra's Heat. You know who Eric Spoelstra got most of his NBA knowledge from? Dude named Pat Riley. I'm reading a little book right now called Blood in the Garden. Shout out Chris Herring. Halfway through it. Amazing book telling the story about the flagrant history of the 1990s New York Knicks. That's the subtitle of the book.
No rings.
And guess what? That Knicks team didn't have any rings, but they did have a coach by the name of Pat Riley who has plenty of NBA rings. Right. And they gave DeMar the treatment that Riley gave MJ in the 90s.
Correct.
We are not going to let this man beat us. Double team him, triple team him if you have to. Knock him on his ass. And anytime the Bulls didn't get a whistle when there was contact, maybe DeMar got by his man and then the second man, but then the third man came and knocked DeMar on his ass. And they're playing in Miami. DeMar doesn't get the call. Zach drives the hoop, doesn't get a call. And what happens? Both of those guys get frustrated. They hang their heads. Miami's getting 2 quick, easy points back the other direction. It was driving me crazy, man.
Yeah, you saw that a lot. Actually, you've been seeing that a lot all season. When they don't get those calls, it kind of stops the flow of the defense on the other end. You just want them to kind of get back. I feel like they're starting to do that a little bit more, but it just concerns you more when you're playing these kind of teams. You know what I'm saying? When you're playing these Heat and you're going to play Philly, because Philly is physical too. Even though they got James Harden, that's still a physical basketball team. And they're going to play the same kind of way when the Bulls have to see them. So I'm not looking forward to that, but that's what it is. When they play the Bucks are another one. They're a physical basketball team. Hello, Grayson Allen. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've seen this. They are a physical basketball team. So teams, the word is out. You know what I'm saying on it, Matt? You punch them in the mouth and they'll get flustered. And that's really what teams are trying to do now, especially teams like the Heat, Philly, and the Bucks, or what I just mentioned, teams you're going to see in the playoffs. They're just like, cool, we'll punch you in the mouth and we'll see you flustered. This is why I wanted Tristan so bad. This is why I can't wait for Caruso to get back, for these kind of reasons. But it's going to be a test for the Chicago Bulls. They're going to be tested. You know what I'm saying? Like, how are you going to respond to this? How are you going to take this? When teams do this to you, because they're not going to stop. They see that this works, so they're going to continue to do it. It is on the players and it is on the coaching staff to say, okay, team, if the word is out, this is how they feel about us. I know ain't nobody on the Bulls soft. You know what I'm saying? I know that. You know what I mean? It's just not what they are. But it's the way they're playing right now, where teams are just being more physical with them, and it's showing that the Bulls struggle with that.
Yeah, Billy Donovan kind of spoke to that in his post-game comments. I want to touch on that in just a minute. But first, today's episode brought to you by BetOnline. Football season might be over, but basketball is in full swing for both the NBA and college hoops. From all the latest odds, totals, player performance props, to where the next fire coach is going to land, BetOnline.net is the #1 spot for all your sports betting needs. And BetOnline remains the best spot for all of your sports scores, news, and updates this season. And it's not just for basketball. BetOnline.net is your source for hockey, boxing, and even UFC fights. So head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. BetOnline, it's where the game starts. So I thought after this game and hearing from Billy Donovan, he once again refused to look at the absences of two of his best defensive players in Alex Caruso and Lonzo Ball as an excuse for not just this game tonight, but the way that the Bulls defense has been trending over their absence of the last month and a half now. And he used a key phrase that I thought was interesting, which is that this team is just, there aren't guys that are battle tested, is what he said. And that you have to kind of turn these hardships into a positive to learn from them and to, use it as something that, you get knocked down. All right, how will you get back up? Because we better freaking get back up. How will you get back up? But it was an interesting comment to say, like, Billy Donovan basically said it wasn't calling out his team and his group of players, but just stating facts that a lot of the guys on this squad are not battle tested guys. Zach LaVine's never had a playoff appearance in his life. Vooch has had 2 first-round exits, I believe, with the Orlando Magic. DeMar's made some deep playoff runs with Toronto, but Caruso's the other. Tristan Thompson now arriving, has plenty of playoff experience with Cleveland, and he's the only one again tonight who got into it with anybody when the Heat were knocking him around.
Correct. He was the only one showing the toughness tonight, Matt. The only one. As soon as he came in the game, he was physical, and when he was physical, that's what you do to bullies. You know what I'm saying? When you punch a bully in the mouth, they back down, right? You saw Tristan Thompson come in there and start punching people in the mouth. And I was like, man, the lane is kind of clear when he gets the ball and he's making a move inside, right? Yeah, because he's punching bullies in the face. So that's the only way you can respond to the team that's like that, is to respond to their physicality with some physicality of your own. But that is a very key point right there, Matt. A lot of these dudes, this is brand new. I've been saying that a lot this season. This is brand new to this, man. Zach, Kobe, Ayo, keep going. You all down the line. Troy Brown, Matty, whoever you want to throw out. You know what I'm saying? It's brand new to a lot of these guys, except for DeMar, except for Tristan, and except for Caruso. You know what I mean? If you want to throw Derrick Jones Jr. in there, you can. But yeah, it's just new. You know what I mean? They don't know what it is. They don't know what it entails. But they're learning on the fly, because that's the only way you can learn. That's why I like failing so much, man. I think failing is the best tool, honestly. It's the best tool to learn. There's no other way you can learn other than failing. You know what I'm saying? Because when you fail, then you know what you did wrong, and you need to, get back up and reestablish yourself. So yeah, I don't mind them getting punched in the face. I don't mind them getting chin checked, and I don't mind it, because it's the only way you're gonna learn. This kind of intensity is 7 games strong in the playoffs. You know what I mean? This is
Miami treated this game like a playoff game.
Correct.
And the Bulls did not.
They gave them a little bit like, yeah, this is what you can expect if you're going to run up against us. We're going to be physical, and we're going to be finessing you on the offensive end with these 3-point shots. That's what's going to happen. So the Bulls have to go ahead and continue to take these lumps and learn from them. Now, can they get there? Can they grow? Of course. Yes, they can grow and they can get better. But it is something that I'm sure Bulls fans are looking at and are being concerned about because it's another double-digit loss to a top-tier team.
Add it on top of the pile. If it makes Bulls fans feel better about the loss to Memphis on Saturday, Ja had 52 tonight. So,
He snapped.
my
That boy
goodness. But I mean, honestly, if you can't get up for this game, what game can you get up for, Dave? Like, that's the thing. Like, the Bulls, it makes me think of that dud game that the Bulls had against Brooklyn when Brooklyn and the Bulls were the 1 and 2 seeds. This was back in, I want to say December.
Yeah.
And a nationally televised game, and the Bulls laid a freaking egg.
Yeah.
You're fighting for your life in this incredibly tight top of the East standings. You're going into Miami, and that's the effort you put forth. That's what I just keep coming back to, man. I mean, they got out executed in certain ways. I do want to talk about some of the things that Stacey was saying on the broadcast tonight with this Bulls drop defense because I'm running out of patience. But effort. They should be embarrassed by that. I'm sorry. Like, you just like carelessly turning the ball over, not matching that. How do you not know that Miami's coming out with that level of intensity for this game?
Yeah. They got to know what that game. Yeah, you have to know the moment, and you have to know the game that you're in. You're absolutely right. You have to know the moment in the game that you're in, and the one that you're playing. And what they have to also understand is all the rest of these games, this is how it's going to have to be. That's how they have to come out. You're going to have to come out tough and strong because you're playing the best in your conference now. This is who you're playing right now. You have the second hardest schedule in the league right now. That means teams are gunning for you. They see that you're winning. When when you're winning and you're on top, that's when people are gunning for you. That's when they're coming at you. You know what I'm saying? And that's what you're seeing. Miami was out to set the tone. They were out to establish we are better than you. We are stronger than you. We are better coach than you. We are whatever you think you are. We are better than you at. And this is how we're going to come out and establish it strong from the beginning. And that's what they did. And that's what they did the last game. And again, Gabe Vincent comes out here again. You know what I'm saying?
He's cooked twice
these
now.
dudes. Gabe Vincent, I know he's shooting well, but this dude coming out here like he Mitch Richmond when he playing the Bulls, man. And that's annoying. You know what I'm saying? That's annoying what I'm saying, man. I understand he's shooting threes. Yeah, great. He's having it. But this dude dropping 20 every single time. You know what I mean? He flexing on him, man. And that's crazy. Gabe Vincent can't flex on you. That's why I was so mad last time. Detman can't flex on you. You know what I'm saying? I'll get it from Jimmy. Cool. You'll take it from Bam. You'll take it from Kyler. Okay, great. Those are their players. Vincent, I ain't taking that from. Martin dunking on you, getting posters? No. You know what I'm saying? That's the stuff I don't want. That's the stuff I can't accept, man. So, and that's when I look at it, I'm like, man, I miss Caruso. Man, I miss Lonzo. You know what I mean? Because all they have is those perimeter-oriented guards that they haven't matched up against yet, that I'm still waiting to see that matchup first. But yeah, man, they can't come out here like this, man. It's annoying and it's frustrating. It is.
That perimeter defense, how many times do we have to talk about it? Like, somebody in my mentions on one of my tweets tonight said, I know we miss, Lonzo and Caruso or no, I think he phrased it, I know Lonzo and Caruso are important, but they aren't this important. And I quoted him and said, yes, they are. They absolutely are. That perimeter defense. Yeah. I saw guys going under screens when Jimmy was the ball handler tonight.
Yeah.
He's shooting 29% from three-point range. I saw Derrick Jones Jr., bless his heart, foul Jimmy behind the three-point line when the shot clock was at 0.5.
Yeah,
that's just not smart. That's just not smart. And it's really hard to watch.
Yeah, putting himself in that position, because honestly, Jimmy just did a veteran move. He shot it and he fell down and he kicked his leg out.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But he made the ref make the call, but he put himself in that position. You know what I'm saying? To get that. And Derrick Jones Jr. came in and drew a bunch of fouls. I mean, a bunch of fouls early on, man. So, yeah, man, like out everything. I can't say enough. They were out everything tonight. It was ugly, man. And you're just tired of looking like that. And look, and I know they ain't have everybody. I know the Bulls didn't have everybody. But you know who else ain't have everybody? The Miami Heat. You know what I'm saying? They didn't have everybody either. You know what I'm saying? Lowry, Markieff Morris, those guys were gone. You know what I'm saying? They weren't out there. They haven't played the Heat fully healthy yet. You know what I'm saying? The Heat haven't been fully healthy in any of these games they played the Bulls, and the Bulls haven't either. But you know who's looked like just a better basketball team all three times? The Miami Heat. And I mean, by a long way, they've looked that way. You know what I'm saying? So that's the stuff that's frustrating. We know that we're dealing with our thing as far as the injuries, but so are they. But they're still out there coming out, executing. Effort, like Matt said, effort. That is on the team, and the players got to come out there and put forth that effort against these kind of guys, man. Seriously.
Somebody in the comments, shout out Cinema Air, who said they also have to rebound. There was that one possession that's
more effort,
dude. Effort. There was one missed three from Miami, and it was when the Bulls were fighting their way back in the second quarter. DeMar and two other Bulls, I can't remember, but all three standing right around the restricted area, just staring up at the hoop, waiting for the miss. And some Heat player, I can't remember which one, just swoops in, steals it, kicks it right back out, and the Heat drained a three. It was like momentum broken. Box out. Freaking box out. They teach that when they're playing basketball.
And the person got the rebound is like Caleb Martin. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? That's who's getting the rebounds. Is one of the Martin twins. That's who's out here doing that. Yeah, that's effort. That's effort stuff. You know what I'm saying? And can't have that, man. Not against the elite teams, bro. Can't have that.
All right. Like I said, I do want to talk a little bit about Bulls defensive breakdowns a bit more extensively. Before we do that, though, Big Dave, give the people what they want. Only a couple more times on deck. Enjoy it while you can, people.
Oh, I know what you want. I know what you need. You need some car parts. That's what you need. Your car is making all kind of crazy noises, and you're still driving it. That's not smart. But the reason you're doing it is because you don't have time to go all the way to that car dealership, all the way to that chain store, and deal with somebody who just smells like donuts and depression. You don't want to have to go through that. Let me save you some time, man. Use RockAuto.com. Save yourself some money, 30, 50, or even 100% more on the same parts. I mean, it's a family business. Serving them do-it-yourselfers for over 20 years. Reliably low prices for every single customer. All the parts you're going to need. You need some brake parts, some tail lamps, some motor oil, even some new carpet. They got you covered. RockAuto.com is where you go. See all the parts available for your car or your beautiful truck, right? Locked in on their How Did You Hear About Us section, so they know that we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. Sing it even though we pissed that the Bulls took this whooping. RockAuto.com. Woo!
Some people dance out their anger and frustration. Shout out Kevin Bacon. Some people sing out their anger and frustration.
He did not shout out Footloose.
Kick off your Sunday shoes, Dave.
Oh my God.
Classic film. Love young Kevin Bacon. Come on now.
It is a classic film.
You forget I have a background in show choir, Dave.
Fair point. This is fair.
All right. So let me preface this by saying we love Stacey King.
Okay.
Bulls legend.
Where we going?
Multi-time NBA champion.
Okay.
And one of the best color commentary guys in NBA basketball right now.
Yeah.
Always entertained by Stacey. And he is not the only person who feels this way, and it's frustrating for me to hear. The retired guys who are analysts now who played NBA ball in the 80s and the 90s hate drop coverage and don't understand it. And I am getting frustrated by the fact that the game has changed and it's not the game that they knew. Once again tonight, I heard him call out his frustration when a drop coverage resulted in like a floater or a midi or something like that. And it is as our pal Mark K phrased it when he and I were going back and forth on this, it's kind of a pick your poison scenario. Yeah. But you saw Tristan Thompson play more up towards the level of the screen tonight instead of dropping to do that contained defense that we've seen Vooch playing all season long. And what happens? It's an alley-oop to Dedmon.
Correct.
If that's the result every time. If you play up, if your big man plays up on the pick and roll at the level of the screen, the Bulls do not have the available assets right now to mask for that, because shouting out DeMar DeRozan, shouting out Zach LaVine, shouting out Troy Brown Jr., even Derrick Jones Jr. is guilty. Their corner wings and their weak side help have been absolutely ghosting those situations. And do you see how frustrated Vooch is when he gets hung out to dry? Because he should be expecting help in those scenarios. But again, if you play up on that pick and roll, instead of dropping, instead of doing the contain, you're getting lobbed on and dunked on every single time down the floor. Correct. And I don't quite fathom why certain people aren't seeing that, and it's frustrating to me, Dave. What about you?
You know what? I'll be real. I don't feel any kind of way about this, but I'll say this point. I understand why Billy's running that drop defense, and when we were watching it against Memphis, that's for me is what was key to the point that you're trying to make right here. Because when Ja's going to the bucket, I don't care who set the pick, you're going with Ja Morant. Okay, that's just what's going to happen. You're going with Ja Morant. Okay, and when you're going to do that, you know that's going to do that. It's no longer on the big man to guard Ja Morant and the other big man. It now becomes the guards' responsibility, or like you said, the wing players to come over and help contain that big man that is rolling to the bucket. You know what I'm saying? Like they do on the pick and roll. It's for up to them to get that box out, because you saw it all day in that Memphis game. The guards weren't boxing out, so as soon as Ja Morant went up and he missed that shot, and Vooch, played the defense on him, and he went up, missed the shot, Steven Adams was right there. You know what I mean? Like, he had 21 rebounds, guys. You know what I'm saying? Like, he had 21. And he was right there to get that and get those putbacks and make it easy. You know what I mean? So it's a team thing. You know what I mean? It's not individual. And I think that's what those guys are seeing, Matt. Again, I don't want to speak for them. I could be completely wrong about this, but they played more individual defense. You know what I'm saying? When it came to stuff like that, like it's just what it was. You know what I'm saying? It was more individualized and not so much dependent, you know what I mean, on guys to come over, and stop the big man, you know what I'm saying, and set that, get in his way pretty much, you know what I'm saying, to stop him from getting that rebound and things like that. So I think that's what they see. And plus, it's hard to tell who is won, you know what I'm saying, with that kind of style, and won multiple times and on some of the greatest teams we've ever seen, you know what I'm saying, multiple times, and played with some of the greatest defenders we've ever seen multiple times. You don't have to do that when you're playing with Scottie Pippen. You don't have to do that when you're playing with Michael Jordan. You know what I'm saying? You can kind of cheat a little bit, right? So I think it became an issue, especially, Matt, when you losing Lonzo and you're losing Caruso. Those are the guys who know their job after that pick and roll is set, who are going to go ahead and establish that. Because remember, the Bulls defense was in the top 10 when those guys were out there. You know what I'm saying? Right. So it was kind of working, you know what I'm saying, when they were doing it like that.
It was having pieces that were so good that it was masking the overall mediocrity at best of your collective defensive talent.
It's a beautiful Band-Aid, yes.
AK in the comments on YouTube saying, with Caruso, it's like having another coach out there on the floor communicating and getting guys in better position to defend. That's another thing. And we've talked about that too, Big Dave, hoping that maybe Tristan Thompson with his veteran experience would also up the level of talk, especially on the defensive end in Caruso's absence. And you still see Caruso coaching from the sidelines.
You do.
Like, on his feet, coaching from the sidelines. You see him coaching up some of the younger guys during timeouts. And bless his heart, like Patrick Williams has been at, I believe, a fair amount of these games and has even traveled with the team on the road. Lonzo, I think, has been mostly absent rehabbing that knee. Caruso has been there. Caruso is an assistant coach for the Bulls right now.
Correct.
But he's a lot more useful as an assistant coach who's out there on the floor leading the defense.
Yeah, correct.
Like, I know he's drowning in New York right now, but something that Tibbs always spoke about when he had elite defenses here in Chicago in the early 2010s was playing defense on a string. And if any element of that string is cut, your defense falls apart. Correct. But that Bulls team, who did they have out there? They had communicators. Luol Deng, Joakim Noah, Jimmy Butler, once he ascended to that level of defensive respectability that he had. Communicators on the defensive end. How many times did we see the Bulls not only just get confused on switches and get lost and get one behind on rotations tonight, but I think I saw 4 full court lob passes that the Heat threw from their own baseline after the Bulls scored, and the Bulls can't get back in transition after they put the ball in the Miami bucket. Correct. And it's just chaos. It's like chickens with their heads cut off. and the Heat are just laying the ball in the basket.
Yeah.
A lot of that is effort, and a lot of it is communication. And if Alex Caruso's out there doing both of those things at his level, at, Spinal Tap, these go to 11, then a lot of his teammates do it too. But right now, they're all out there looking completely indifferent towards the idea of playing defense.
Yeah, man, because again, it's contagious. That's what defense is. It's contagious. When you see somebody out there working hard, it inspires you to want to do the same and go like that. Yeah, it's going to be a tough stretch for this team. It's defensively because your mask is off. The guys who are masking it, your mask is off. You're not Batman no more. Everybody knows you're Bruce Wayne. So they know how to attack you. You know what I'm saying? Just like that. And it felt like watching that game, the Heat knew exactly how inept the Bulls were, and where they struggle at as far as defensively. They knew just how to run certain plays and how to attack them each and every single time down the floor, whether it resulted, in a bucket or not. They knew exactly how to play that kind of defense. Bulls got a few steals. We understand that. They did all that, but it wasn't enough at all. Like, they just ran them out the gym. That's really what we saw. Will that stuff change when Caruso and Zoe come back? Yes, absolutely. It will change. It will change a lot of things, and it will help a whole lot. But I'm going to need to start seeing it without those guys on the floor all the time, because you can't be so super dependent on these two dudes where you can't, walk yourself. It's like learning how to ride a bike. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not going to be there to hold the bike seat while you're driving it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
While you're riding it the whole entire time. Some point in time, they're going to let go, because some point in time, they're going to be injured, or they're going to foul out a game, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Anything can go down. So that should not change your effort. You know what I'm saying? As far as how you're doing it defensively. They have to figure out, Matt, what they can do well defensively when those guys are out, and start kind of playing to that. If it's, man, we're not good at this drop defense when those guys are out, cool. Are we better at a zone when those guys are out? Let's figure that stuff out. But you only figure it out by trial and error. So I just want them to keep trying and seeing what they can do to go ahead and make themselves a better defensive team when those guys are not on the floor.
Shout out to our pal Hayes from Chicago Bulls Central, who's hanging out in the YouTube comments right now. I was hanging out watching his show after that Grizzlies game on Saturday. People were calling me out. I was just like replying in the chat on Hayes' Chicago Bulls Central post game. And people were calling me out for being a fake Matt Peck account that was like a bot on Twitter.
Wow.
So I don't know. Maybe it's fake. Maybe it's fake Hayes, Chicago Bulls Central, in the comments right now in our section. Shout out Sweaty Bloke. Yeah, I heard you. You were the one thinking I was fake. Ain't no fake Matt Peck. Ain't no fake Hayes. Real quick before we get out of here, Dave, Hayes just threw this thought in there. Billy Donovan getting out coached by elite coaches in the NBA this season. What are your thoughts?
Oh, I've been saying this. Yeah. No, he's absolutely right. That's what you saw, right? What's the thing I just said? I said they got out-coached. That's exactly what happened, man. When they go up against Eric Spoelstra, and it hasn't been a contest. Like, Eric Spoelstra has been out-coaching them, like, one by one every single time. So when you're getting beat down and all those things, Matt, it's not just on the players. That's a team ass whooping. So everybody gets some of that. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, Billy Donovan has definitely been getting out-coached, because it feels like I just said, the Heat know exactly what's coming, and there hasn't been a change. Do you remember, Matt, when we first started, I said one of my biggest reservations about Billy Donovan was his reluctancy to change things in the playoffs. He kept doing the same thing over and over again, but that was a problem I'd worry about down the road, because we had to get down the road. We had to get the car on the road first. Well, the car's on the road. We're riding. You know what I'm saying? We're feeling good, and it's looking right. And I knew this would come up, you know what I'm saying? And I was hoping, it would kind of change a little bit. And maybe Billy will change that a little bit. Part of me started saying to myself, maybe he's playing possum. Because that's for real. That is really what I thought. Like, maybe this dude is playing possum. Maybe he don't want to show them everything. Because there's no way you're just going to keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. That's the definition of insanity. There's no way. Like, there's absolutely no way you're going to continue to do that. Maybe you just don't want to show them everything, because you might see them in the playoffs, or you don't have it ready. I honestly was thinking that in my head. But yeah, I'll agree with Hayes for sure, man. He is definitely been getting out-coached by these elite coaches. And the proof is in the effort and the final score. It's been in that proof, man. Seriously.
I mean, the complete lack of preparation for the way that the Bulls played the first 8 minutes of this game, you absolutely have to put some of that on Billy. And is it a surprise to see Billy outcoached by Eric Spoelstra? No. Billy
No.
Donovan is a good
That was
coach,
wonderful,
but a
yeah.
good coach with flaws. He's a coach who is very well liked, but also respected by his players, and that is a very fine line to walk. Not a whole lot of NBA coaches succeed in finding where that line is. Billy's players like him and they respect him, and he certainly has a lot of brilliant things on the offensive end. We certainly know about his deficiencies on the defensive end. Eric Spoelstra was just named one of the 15 greatest coaches in NBA history, and he's like 5 years older than me or some shit. I don't know. He's maybe not that young, but the man is pretty freaking young to be on a list with people like Phil Jackson and Red Auerbach and like Sam Jones. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, man.
This man
Seriously.
is the best coach in the NBA right now, and he has his guys out there ready to play. Again, parentheses, gonna say it one more time. Pat Riley. Pat Riley. Bulls got laid on their ass tonight, Dave.
They did. They got put down. They got beat down. But they can't stay down because that's where you're gonna screw up. Okay. So, like I said, I have no problem with you failing. You know what I mean? Like, failing is going to happen. It's how you respond to that kind of failure. What are they going to do? What are they going to change? What are they going to grow? What are they going to learn from these kind of things? Because everything, Matt, is a learning experience for these guys because they've never been in this position. Even before the playoffs, I'm telling you, they have never been in this position where they're playing meaningful games in the regular season. You know what I'm saying? Think about that part. Forget the playoffs and no playoff experience. They're not used to playing meaningful games in the regular season when stuff is on the line. Those guys aren't used to that at all. So this is all brand new for them, man. But it's going to tell a lot about them and their character. I still think they got that kind of character where they can, rise to that occasion. But we got to see it. You know what I'm saying? It can't just be hope and wishes. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to have to see it on paper at some point in time.
Speaking of rise to the occasion, the Bulls have a couple of days off now before Thursday, re-seeing that Atlanta Hawks team that's pretty pissed off about the L that the Bulls just handed them. Trae Young is going to try and bounce back after that 3 for 17 outing he had against the Bulls. And that's the first half of a back-to-back, and the second half is the Milwaukee Bucks. So, yeah, that gauntlet stretch of the schedule out of the All-Star break that we kept talking about and looking at down the road at and fearing, we're in it, folks.
We're in it, baby. We knew they would lose these too, man, but it's still... We still here. I know I'm not going to stop the full freak out of Bulls fans that's going to happen. I know it's going to go down, but I'm not here to stop that.
Wes Dave's heart. He's still got his head up. I'm going to finish this whiskey sour and then go to bed.
I'm still in it, man. We still on this road. We still got things to accomplish, Bulls fans. All right. We still got things we got to do. So let's just keep going. Let's move on to the next game, man, and take this ass whooping that we just took right here and move on to this next game.
Appreciate everybody for hanging out with us in the YouTube comments. Hit that like button if you enjoyed tonight's episode. We'd appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. Also, hit us up on Twitter. I'm at Bulls_Peck. Big Dave is at BAW, BAWL Sports. We are at Locked On Bulls, and that text and voicemail line is 331-979-1369. Hayes in the building. My man. See Red B